Talking with the Experts.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. My name is Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com, and Talking with the Expert is about all things business by business owners for business owners, and you can find it on all good podcasting streams and on YouTube. And today my guest is Christina Inge, and Christina, her business is called Thoughtlight, and we're going to be discussing data is not a dirty word. And Christina has 2 decades of experience leading digital strategy and managing complex marketing technology projects. She specialises in articulating effective, efficient digital strategies for organisations using the latest channels to drive results. She is the founder of Sleek Marketing, which offers hands-on education on digital marketing in the Boston area. And she has served on the board of the American Marketing Association as Vice President of Social Media through much of the 2000s. She is a frequent and sought-after speaker on web analytics, content strategy, and SEO. Oh, my least favourite subject. She has worked with well-established brands such as Nissan, the Smithsonian, Pega Systems, as well as a range of startups and non-profits. Christina has won numerous awards for her work and has served as Vice Chair of the IEEE Entrepreneurs Network. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you, Rose. It's wonderful to be here. And I hope to, in the time we have together, change your mind about SEO being your least favorite topic.
It's only because I don't know how to do it properly. And it's something I think that a lot of people are challenged with getting their head around.
Absolutely. And part of that goes back to data as well.
Yeah. Okay. Can you explain how the two marry up together?
Absolutely. So one of the things, and this is why my topic is data is not a dirty word, is I think a lot of people are afraid to take a deep dive into their data because they have the belief that maybe they're not good with numbers or they're afraid of what the data will tell them. There was a survey recently done about why CMOs, chief marketing officers, are not using data and why organizations are not using data. And the number one answer was because the data is telling us things we don't want to hear. That was the number one answer. Number 2 answer was we don't trust the data because we don't know how it was collected, we don't understand it, and therefore we don't trust it. So SEO is actually all about data. Just to give you an example of one part of marketing that's all about data is you really need to think about, for instance, your keywords. Just to give you one quick example, all of SEO is really built around finding those keywords that you want to rank on and then figuring out how to rank about them. But I always urge clients, for instance, to take a step back, and anyone listening should take a step back and first look at the data for how popular are those keywords that you want to optimize on. Because a lot of the times people fail at SEO, not because they're no good at it, but because, for instance, they try to optimize for too common a word, what we call a short tail keyword like lipstick or shoes, whereas you really can't optimize for that unless you're a really big brand and all of those keywords have already been over optimized for by those big brands. But you can find those niche terms, those long tail keywords, we call them, that you can optimize for and you can succeed on and actually speak more closely and authentically to your area of expertise. And that comes from data. That's just one example. You can use tools like Google's Keyword Planner or a SpyFu or a Moz, whole range of different tools to identify what keywords have just the right amount of search traffic that if you optimize for it and you get, let's say, half of that search traffic or a quarter of that search traffic, you are getting really quality traffic, but not trying to compete against huge brands that you wouldn't be able to take on. And so that's just one example of, if you do look at the data, and maybe at first it's uncomfortable because you wouldn't necessarily be able to rank on the broadest search term, like coffee or something like that. And so you have to adapt your expectations, and then you can succeed. And so that barrier people have of, I don't want to look at my data because it's going to tell me something uncomfortable. You have to get past that, because then it's going to tell you some really good news of where you can succeed, how you can win at whatever marketing endeavor you're starting.
Okay, so using the term, speaker or PowerPoint, for instance,
Yes.
how can you niche that down even further?
Really great idea. So think about what you do with PowerPoint. You're not Microsoft, so you're not selling PowerPoint. Maybe you help people design PowerPoint decks. Then take a look at what is the search volume for design PowerPoint. Maybe it's still too competitive. Also look at who your competition is. Do they have deep pockets? Have they been ranking for that for a long time, so it's harder to unseat them? Or are they relatively new? What else is coming up on those search terms? If design PowerPoint works, great. Start optimizing for that. You're niche down enough. If that's still too broad because the competition is still too intense, you can niche down further by looking at, all right, who do I design PowerPoint decks for? Is it sales teams? Is it in a specific industry? Is it a specific job function? And then optimize for that. And then look at what the search volume is for that. If several thousand people look for PowerPoint decks for pharmaceutical companies, then that's still a really great market opportunity. So you can always think more specifically about what value you deliver, and from there you can really carve out a niche for yourself online.
So when you look at Google keyword search or whatever, so the higher the word ranks, that is the best one to use. Is that right? Or am I looking at it the wrong way?
That's one way of looking at it, absolutely. So one of the ways in which you want to look at it is, and these are often available in tools like SEMrush, is what's the competitiveness? How hard is it to rank for that? It's a highly competitive term. You want to look for a term that is less competitive but has a comparable search volume. That means you're going to get just as much traffic, but fewer people are chasing after that traffic. And SEO is just one of the many ways in which people are not using their data in a way that's going to enable them to win the business that they need and win the traffic that they need. But that's just a couple of ways in which, if you face up to your data, if you look at it with an objective eye and say, okay, some of this information is maybe not going to be comfortable, but if I get past that, I'm going to find the data that's going to help me win.
So what data should people be looking at?
Great question. So from a marketing standpoint, you want to be looking at your return broadly on your marketing investment. How much am I spending, and not just in money, but in time? Versus what sales am I getting? And you don't need fancy tools for this. You can use Google Analytics, a tool that is free. You can install that on your website completely for free, very easily, working with your web developer, and that will tell you how many sales are coming from different online venues, how many are coming from your advertising you're doing, how many are coming from your Facebook page or your Instagram that you have. Because one of the things that I find is that people will question, okay, is it really worth it for me, for instance, to be posting every day or to Facebook or doing Facebook Live? The data will tell you whether you're actually getting any kind of traffic from that. It doesn't mean that you should completely stop doing a marketing effort that isn't leading directly to sales, because one thing that I find with a lot of my clients is a channel may not lead directly to sales, but if you stop doing it, your sales go down because it serves as a reminder and a different way for people to find out about you. But the first place you need to be looking is, what is my return on my marketing investment?
Yeah. Okay. So knowing the numbers, I guess, and your customer segments and what they're avoiding, what are vanity metrics? What does that mean?
Really great question. That's where a lot of people start looking at their data, and that's why they think their data isn't helping them. So vanity metrics are superficial metrics that just tell you how much attention you're getting online. I know we think that attention online is the ultimate currency, but attention that doesn't turn into sales is wasted if you could be getting attention that does turn into sales. So for instance, if you are getting a lot of traffic on the term PowerPoint, but you only do PowerPoint design for tractor companies, for instance, if dentists or hair salons are coming and looking at your PowerPoint design company, it's completely wasted. So vanity metrics are things like the number of visits to your website if that doesn't correlate with higher numbers of sales. It's the number of likes you're getting on Facebook or Instagram if that doesn't correlate with sales. It's all of these numbers that will make you feel very good because look at me, I'm getting all this attention online. Great, everyone's heard of me. But if the people who've heard of you are not buying your stuff, or hiring you, you're just getting attention online. And again, most people, their real goal is to make money. And so a vanity metric is anything about the sheer volume of attention you're getting if that is just the only thing you're getting out of the situation. You really instead want to look at, where are my sales growing? And if so, what am I doing that's moving the needle on those sales?
Yeah. So I understand that there are actually 8 top metrics that small businesses should be looking at or that they need and need to understand for their business growth strategies. Could you walk us through those, please, Christina?
Absolutely. So the first one, as I mentioned, is that return on marketing spend. What are you putting your effort into that is leading to a return? Now, taking a deeper dive into that, the next thing you want to look at is what is your most profitable channel for driving conversions, whether that is people signing up for your free ebook that will ultimately turn into business or people making an actual e-commerce sale. Where are you actually getting the most bang for your buck? Where are you getting the best results? So that's something where you really want to focus your efforts, and you want to get a handle on what is your best channel. The next thing you want to look at is who is your best customer segment? Who are the ones who not only keep coming back to you, but who are consistently talking you up and recommending you to your peers. So for instance, at Thoughtlight, we're a marketing agency, and we have found that we might make a lot of contacts in one industry, but it's consistently people in the social enterprise space who recommend us to their peers. So those are our best customers. So that's the third thing you want to look at. The fourth thing that you want to look at, the fourth metric that's really important, is your lifetime customer value overall. So if I'm making a lot of one-off sales to a particular audience, but they're not coming back, then it's often not profitable to pursue that particular audience because it's just one-off sales. Who are the customers who keep coming back that are your most profitable customers? And so know your lifetime customer value and then break it down by your audiences, maybe nonprofits. Yeah, go ahead.
If I could just stop you there, how do people, work out their segments and work out where the segments are more profitable before we move on to the next metric?
That's a wonderful question, Rose. So you have to, if you're a small enough business where you know all of your customers well, like you're a service business, think about, what do the best customers I have in common? Is it company size? Is it the industry they're in, the niche, so on and so forth? Now, if you're doing business in higher volume, let's say you're a coffee shop or something like that, it gets harder, but you might do, for instance, a survey and ask customers, demographic questions, psychographic questions, like, for instance, if you're a coffee shop, are most of the people who are your most loyal customers just people who happen to live in your neighborhood and walk past you on their way to work? Or are they people who have some kind of philosophical alignment because your coffee is fair trade and they're eco-conscious? Try to do some surveying to understand your customer segments, because that way you can tailor your offering to them.
Great stuff. Yeah, that's totally a great idea.
Absolutely. As far as the fifth thing that you want to know in terms of your metrics, it is your keywords. It is, and I don't just mean from an SEO standpoint, your keywords really tell you how your customers understand your offering. So to go back to the idea of PowerPoint, it's a very different offering if people are coming to you because they need persuasive PowerPoints versus if they need beautiful PowerPoints or impactful or modern or contemporary. So understand what the keywords are that are driving traffic to your website. What are people searching for who ultimately become your customers? You can get some of that from Google Search Console. You can also get that by running some very limited Google ads or other types of ads that are keyword triggered. So you can see those customers that have high lifetime customer value. What is the terminology they use to describe you? How would your customers, your best customers, describe your business? That's what I mean by keywords there. So the sixth thing that you need to know as a metric for your business, again, I'm focusing on marketing metrics, but I want to take it a little step further, is what's your 80-20? 80% of your profits or your results, whatever you're in business other than profits to achieve satisfaction, are coming from 20% of your efforts. Which 20% of those are they? Right? Because you can have customers who are costing you money. So know where that 80% of revenue is coming from, and alternatively, identify the duds. Finally, seventh, and again, that was more of a revenue thing. Know what your growth trajectory is. What rate have you been growing at year over year? And are you happy with that rate? Some people don't want their business to get beyond a certain size because that's not what they went into business for, is to have 50 employees, 100 employees. So know what your growth trajectory is, because then you can plan, do I want to keep growing at this rate? Do I need to grow faster? Do I need to level off really and just maintain? So you want to understand that. And then finally, the key metric on top of all of these is understand your customer journey. That's not really so much a number as it is a qualitative measure. So understand what are the steps that customers go through to become your customer, and what the steps are as they remain a customer that drive them to loyalty. So that's something you can use data for, hard numbers for, but again, you need to talk to your customers. You need to do some surveying to understand that.
Yeah. All right. So is that go for bricks and mortar businesses as well as online businesses?
Absolutely. In one of my classes, we do a customer journey mapping exercise for a movie theater. So it absolutely applies to every type of business. Perfect.
If you
do it. You have to map your customer journey.
Have you got anything else to add, Christina, on top of all that wonderful information that you've just imparted to us?
I think one of the things that is eye-opening when I work with clients and also work with students in the classes I teach is that people think that they're bad at math. Everybody thinks they're terrible at math, but understanding your data is not about being a mathematician. None of these are complex calculations, and most of them are done for you by the tools, whether you're using QuickBooks for accounting or whatever you're using for your accounting, whatever you're using for your analytics, if it's Google Analytics or something else. The numbers are in front of you. You don't even have to do simple arithmetic. And if you do, it's very minimal. Don't be afraid of the numbers. And again, I can't keep coming back to that. If the number one reason people are not doing analytics or using data is because they don't want to be told something they don't want to know, it's kind of like jumping on your bathroom scale in the morning. Sometimes you have to face up to it, and then you'll know, and then you'll be able to take action accordingly or decide you're fine. And the other reason people don't do analytics is because they don't trust the numbers. And then if that's the case, then think about, why don't I trust the numbers? If it's your bookkeeping numbers you don't trust because you don't even reconcile your accounts at the end of the month, then take a bookkeeping class. Because you're probably not billing your customers then. And you don't want to realize that 2 months down the line because they won't be too pleased either. So figure out why you don't trust the numbers. And if you have to take a class or hire a bookkeeper or hire a web developer to help you solve that problem, it is the best money I've ever invested in, for instance, hiring people to help me understand finance, for instance, and it pays off 1,000-fold.
Yep. That makes perfect sense. Outsource what you don't understand.
Exactly. Outsource what you don't understand.
Yeah. So have you written any books, Christina, or have a podcast or anything like that?
So yes, I have a book coming up from Flat World Publishing later this year. It's called Fundamentals of Marketing Analytics, and it will be out very soon. If you want to get advance notification of that, you can go to my website, thoughtlight.net, THOUGHTLIGHT. You can sign up to be on our mailing list, and then you will get monthly free marketing tips, advance notification of the book, and we also have a small ebook that's coming out on the skills that a data-driven marketer needs. So if you're in marketing, you will send you that free ebook as well.
Perfect. I'll head over there and sign up.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Well, Christina, thank you so much. I don't know, have you got anything to add before we go today?
Yes, start small. You don't need to have all of these 8 metrics at once. Start knowing 1 or 2 things. Even if it doesn't feel like the top priority, start where you are and build on success. I guarantee it will snowball. So just get started and you will see success.
Perfect. Lovely. Thank you so much for your time today, Christina. I've really enjoyed the chat and I actually learned something about SEO, and now it's a little less frightening for me.
I'm glad to hear that, Rose. Thank you for having me as a guest. It's been wonderful.
Thanks. See ya.
See ya.